What you see here is the word silence. But when I rotate it, it's not silence anymore. It's music. That's right, folks. We can make ambigrams of two words such that the ambigram appears like one word in one orientation and the other when rotated. Now, I'll share an ambigram with you that I made a long time ago. What you can read right now is Sherlock Holmes. But when we flip it over, we get James Moriarty. Let's see how we can make something like this for ourselves. For this video, we'll make an ambigram of the oxymoron aimless archery. The idea of a multi-word ambigram is that it should appear like aimless when read like this, suppose, and when we flip it over, it should read like archery. The difference between making single word and multi-word ambigrams is that in single word ambigrams, we have the luxury of choosing our own point of symmetry. It could be here, it could be here, it could be on a letter, it could be next to a letter, depending on the most legible form of ambigram that we come up with. In multi-word ambigrams, however, the point of symmetry is fixed. It has to be here. Drawing a multi-word ambigram is almost exactly like drawing the ambigram of a hypothetical word called aimless archery. The only difference is that we know beforehand that the point of symmetry has to come here. We'll see how. This is also a good demonstration to show you that the difficulty of an ambigram does not depend on its length. Rather, it depends on the combination of letters that we come across when we assign the groups for the vertical lines. So let's begin. For this hypothetical word aimless archery, let's start with the two-line approach of Y against A. So we have something like this. You see? Now, I is a single vertical line. R has two lines in it. How do we do this? So let's start drawing a rough sketch here. So we've drawn our inverted R, and now we're going to start with the M. That's our inverted E. So our M is done. And over here we have half of an inch. So if we draw an L here, we have IML against HER. This can also be demonstrated by the lines as such. We have one line for E, and two for H, and one for L. To balance it out, it's only logical that we take the three-line form of M. So we have 5 lines on this side and 5 lines on this side. Now let's pair the single line C against a single line E. That gives us a design like this. This looks mostly like a C. Granted, it does look like an R. But if we're a little creative, we can make one of the lines a bit bold. Thus, we have a C that looks like an inverted E. Next, we have SS from aimless and AR from archery. Now, both of these have two vertical lines each. It only makes sense that I do the same here. So what I have is this: SS from aimless and AR from archery. Now, of course, I drew them instantly because of my experience. If you feel like you're finding it hard to keep up, that's okay. Just need a bit of practice and you'll get the hang of it. So now let's combine all of this to make our ambigram. As I said before, we're making the ambigram of this hypothetical word aimless archery. So far, so good. So we've come halfway here. We've created half of this word, archery. And the only thing left to do now is stop. No, really, we stop. Because when we flip it over, we have the word aimless. So there we go. We've created a multi-word ambigram that reads like aimless in one orientation and archery in the other. Now the next thing we can do with this is that we can make the ambigram of the oxymoron aimless archery as it's shown here. In the first video, I had assured you that you can make the ambigram of any English word as long as you use the line technique and some imagination. And I meant it. But with multi-word ambigrams, you can see that we have a limitation here. We have to be able to balance the number of vertical lines on both sides of the point of symmetry. Now what that means is that I cannot make an ambigram of a name like, say, Joe Matthews, such that it reads Joe on one orientation and it looks like Matthews on the other. Because no matter how hard I try, I simply cannot balance it about this point of symmetry.